started. We're bringing up our president so we can introduce our timer grammarian and bring up our evaluators and get the meeting started. Thank you.
I think you meant the Toastmaster, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today we have a really exciting meeting planned for all. Let me begin as a Toastmaster by calling on the grammarian and timer. Grammarian, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Toastmaster. So, hello, I'm your grammarian for today. So I'll be taking count of hello words that during the speeches and impromptu speeches. So no us, ums, tos, and likes. And taking count of repeating words too. Now we'll be moving on to the word of the day. The word of the day is clumsy. It's an adjective. The definition of clumsy is lacking in physical strength or substance or having little worth or possibility. An example would be, upon entering adversity, Andrew's clumsy plan fell apart. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. And next we will have the timer to give his role and responsibility.
So as your timer, I will be timing each speaking portion of the meeting, starting with our timed speeches, 4 to 6 minutes. And at the 4-minute mark, my background will turn green. At the 5, become yellow. And at the 6-minute mark, you will have 30 seconds to complete your speech and it will turn red. Next set timing speaking portion of the meeting will be our table topics, in which you have 1 to 2 minutes to finish up your impromptu speech. So at 1 minute, it will turn green. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, it will turn yellow. And at 2 minutes, it will turn red, which I believe you have 15 minutes to finish it. Or 2 minutes, even. Our next and final time speaking portion will be our evaluations, which will be 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, my background will turn green. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, yellow, and 3 minutes, red. That is the timer's rule. Take it back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Mr. Timer. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we get into the first part of our program. As a Toastmaster, it is my job to direct us throughout the meeting. So I will call on the first evaluator who will give his evaluation objective for the first speaker, who will come up and do his or her thing, and then that process will be repeated. So let me call on now Stephen Sheep, evaluator for our first speaker.
All right. So, as we all know, Quinn will be giving his icebreaker today. And I know we are all excited for whatever he's cooking up. Yeah. Because he's a very unique and
I'll do next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot.
So Quinn. Okay, we'll have Michael do it if you want. Yeah, good. We have a dispute over who is going to do the impromptu speech.
Off the top of my head,
Yeah.
right now.
I can do it.
You want to do it?
Oh, nah, dude.
I'll do it.
All right,
Okay.
so Superhero Anson came to the rescue. So, as we know, Anson is so much more unique and interesting than Quinn. So, Anson will be giving his icebreaker today. And I feel like we all know Anson a little bit, but put Quinn all the way here. And it's a game, bro. So Anson will be giving his icebreaker that will let us know a little bit more about him. and we will push Quinn back to next week.
I'm not supposed to be next week, so we're pushing him all the way back to like the last meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so. Anthony, take Quinn.
Yeah, it's super for a second. It's fine.
Yeah, 10 as well.
Thank you, Mr. Evaluator. So, I'll be delivering my impromptu, but it's 4 to 6 minutes. I will be talking about one of my hobbies. This I enjoy way more than doing any homework, playing any sport, or listening to any music. One thing about me is that I love watching movies. Preferably movies that last 2 to 3 hours. So, for my break, like for the past days, every time I finish doing homework or cleaning the house, at night my parents will let me watch one movie. So I'll be talking about my favorite one that I watched. The title was Troy, the 2004 one. With the was it Brad Pitt? Yeah, Brad Pitt. So about the movie. So my favorite character of the movie was obviously Brad Pitt. He played Achilles. Everyone's superhero. Whoa. So as we know, the only flimsy part about him was the deal. So if you're like a history person or like a Greek mythology person, you know he got shot by Paris, who kind of like stole this Spartan king's Menelaus's wife, carried him off to Troy, and launched the Thousand Ship. So about the movie that I liked was that it showed a lot of character. It showed how like people's thinks differently. People do weird things because of lust. And yeah, people like to fight. So the other protagonist of the movie, Troy, would be Hector, Prince of Troy. So he was like, I don't know, the opposite of Achilles. He was less rash. Like he didn't really like war. He only wanted his wife and children to be safe. So he devised a plan to get them out of Troy, which doesn't go along with the history since his whole family died. But yeah, overall, the movie would be the best one that I watched over the break. The third part why I liked the movie so much was the iconic horse. The wooden structure didn't really look like a horse, since like the head was a little wonky. It's more like a triangular prism. It was built more like a ram, and yeah. Yeah. So Michael's gonna kindly put up the picture, which this one, yeah. That will work. Yeah. So in the movie, they didn't really make it look like a horse. They just like the head isn't really horse-like. So the plan was to fit some people in there so they can sack the city during the night. So this other king of Greek, Odysseus, hid in the horse along with Achilles and several other men to open the gates to let the main part of the Greek army in. So in the end, everyone died. the main king of the Greek people died. The Trojan king died. And yeah, that's why it was my favorite movie. Because I like the death scene. The thinking of the people, the structure of the horse, and my favorite superhero, Achilles.
Thank you for that impromptu icebreaker. Troy, Trojan horse. I get it. I think it was a goat too. Anyway, moving right along. Now let me bring up the second evaluator, Toastmaster Anna John, as she introduces our second speaker.
Our second speaker is Jason Pendergrass. And this is his project number 3 in the pathway. Pathway is called, which pathway it is?
To retirement?
It is,
The title?
yes, title.
Financial and Retirement Literacy.
The title is Financial and Retirement Literacy. And the evaluation, the objective is for Jason to practice using vocal variety and body language. So I will look for your vocal variety and body language in this speech.
Thank you, Toastmasters. How many of you plan to work until the day you die? No retirement, no freedom, you just work and die.
Oh yeah.
None of us, right?
Child labor.
But that's the fate of so many of our colleagues and friends, but it's avoidable. If you execute the right strategies, you too can retire. But if you don't, you will die at work. When I was 23, my dad was getting an opportunity to retire early. And in doing that, he would have to roll his Procter & Gamble stock into mutual funds, which meant a third-party financial institution had the opportunity to manage those funds. So the local financial institutions, Fidelity, Raymond James, at that time Morgan Keegan, brought their VPs in to wine and dine these retirees in hopes of earning their business. And I got to go to seminars. They taught financial and retirement literacy, and they all had basically the same message. The same strategy, same message. They came in, they explained to those retirees that the stock market is strong, it's reliable, it's safe. It's the time enough where their money needs to go. And they need to manage that account for them. They also took the time to explain to me what I need to do to build my retirement. You see, in that room, in that seminar, I was the oddball. Everyone in that room was at the end of their career. I was at the beginning. I was a 23-year-old college kid, no full-time job, no retirement, no clue how to retire. Also thinking that retirement's a long way off. It's closer than you think, actually. I'm halfway there. They explained to me that if I don't build my own retirement, I will die at work because there's the days of a pension or a company retirement, with a few notable exceptions, are obsolete. They said I must take advantage of 401k and all the other retirement options, and I must build my own retirement. They also warned me of the dangers of inflation, how to eat away at your savings. What cost me $1 at 23 will cost me $4 at 65. So I've got to have enough money in my retirement to compensate for the cost of living. They did give some good news. The magic of compound interest. Start early, go as big as you can, and let it build on itself. It's like a snowball barreling down a mountain. With every revolution, it's bigger and bigger. Same with your retirement. It takes a while to get going, but once you start gaining some years, market, it grows exponentially. Time is on your side. And then they explain these numbers that if I invest 10% of my salary from day one, my first paycheck, to my last paycheck, and I'm consistent, making the assumption I live within my means, I'm not deeply in debt when I retire. I make good financial decisions throughout my life. At 10%, I can retire and survive 35 to 40 years of grueling sacrifice, only to have the necessities: food in my stomach, roof on over my head and clothes on my back, and yeah, that's better than never retiring. That's a lot of sacrifice I made just to be on the poverty line. 10% is the poverty line. Anything less, and somebody is going to have to support me financially, so that's not a good option. Anything more than 10% gives you more discretionary incomes proportional, which will dictate your lifestyle in retirement. It's all based on your current future lifestyle and what you want in life. But use a calculate number to figure that out. They explained the 10% is the poverty line. That's how you build your retirement. That's how you build your retirement account. So let's fast forward to my retirement day, and I'm back in that seminar. Now I'm not the oddball, I'm one of them. I'm at the end of the race. How do you sustain your money? What pitfalls are in front of a retired person? They explain that to the retirees. First, pitfalls. You have unlimited time for the first time in your life. So you can go to Walmart every day, you can spend money, you can nickel and dime yourself back to poverty and back to work. You can also look at that big lump sum in your retirement, and you say, what's $100,000? I've earned this. I'm gonna buy me that new car, or that new bass boat, or take those elaborate vacations. And you do deserve it, but can you afford it? So you pull off a little bit of money off that principal, that big lump sum. You wake up one day, it sneaks up on you, you're broke. And many people in that seminar said it won't happen to us, but I've met several that are back at work now from that seminar. My dad's ex-coworkers. So that's got to be depressing. They thought their retirement was strong, their strategy was strong, and their execution was flimsy. So how do you sustain your money? How does it outlive you? One, you live on a budget. When you're retired, you don't have a job anymore. It's passive income, so you must live on a budget. Two, you never pull from that principal, that big lump sum, no matter how big it looks, do not touch it. You live off a portion of the interest. You live off the interest, small proportion you reinvest back into the principal, to give yourself a cost of living raise to overcome inflation year over year. So that makes your principal grow proportionally, and then you live off the remaining interest. So let's use numbers to explain that. Your ROI is 10% on your retirement account. 10%. Inflation in this example is 3%. 10 minus 3 is 7. You live on 7%. You pay all your bills, all your taxes, you fix your car, you fix your house, you go on vacation, you pay for Christmas, everything got at 7%. 3% goes back into your principal, reinvest it, and it grows. You get a cost of living raise every year. Your paycheck's a little higher, your purchasing power is the same. And that's a strategy to sustain your finances for the rest of your life. Don't wake up broke at 75 back at work like so many of my dad's co-workers. Execute, build your wealth, sustain your wealth. And if you follow that strategy, one day you will be free for the first time in your life. Until then, I'll see you at work on Monday. Thank you for that.
Wow, excellent. It's always a timely and much needed discussion to have. Excellent demonstration and of controlling your good body language and gestures. We're not too distracted by anything. So moving right along, now we're going to move into the second phase of our program for today. We're going to call on our youngest member who will lead the table topics discussion today. Deanna, please. It's all yours, ma'am.
I broccoli because it's the only vegetable I can think of at this moment. Even though I do not really hate broccoli, it is not my favorite. I like it because it's crunchy and it's probably the only vegetable I can eat from school lunches. So all I can say is that it looks like a tiny tree that didn't grow up. And you go. Okay, also, like, when, because when it's yummy, you put it in, say, if you put it in a bottle of soup, will come back warm and yummy, because corn is always amazing. Oh yeah, I forgot about potatoes. Potatoes are the best food ever. You can put that in almost anything, it's great, and you can really put it in a bowl of recipe. Okay.
Yeah, here, yeah, here.
Tim, Zeus.
Oh, could you repeat the question? I can't quite hear it. Yeah, it's kind of cutting out a bit.
If you were to go back in time and tell your 7-year-old self something, what would it be and why?
Advice.
Yeah, advice.
So advice, okay. My 7-year-old self, that'd be, I think if I was 7 years old, that'd be relatively before Bitcoin got popular or got too much. So yeah, invest in Bitcoin, yes. So then I don't have to deal with getting a job in the future. That'd be great. All my troubles would be gone and I could just live off of that money. But I'd probably tell myself to, probably focus more on studies and not do and goof off and do random stuff. Because when I like in high school now, I start to realize, dang, I really should have studied and I can't really get that time back. But it's like either fun or it's like better for yourself. It's kind of like you have to have a good balance between them. So I guess I just have to give myself advice on better work ethic and having a good study habit and getting rid of some pretty bad habits like sleeping in a lot and not just waking up on time and procrastinating. Those would be pretty big points for me. But going back in time to tell myself a lot more, it really just be to like focus more on school and not do a bunch of boring like fun stuff that may be fun in the moment but won't help you much in the future. Thank you.
Tell me about the best haunted house you have seen in your life. That's my suggestion.
I forgot it.
Thank you, Kelly. Last year, Deanna and I, for Halloween, decided to be adventurous. Before going through our neighborhood, and hanging out with our friends and neighbors, we decided to go to a random neighborhood and trick or treat. And we found the greatest haunted house I've ever seen in my life. We went to a few houses, and then we seen this house up on the hill with a grandma and a grandpa in front passing out candy. We ran over there. And we got our candy and we was walking off and I looked beside the house and it said haunted house entrance here. And I asked them, I said, what is this? And they said, it's a haunted house our grandkids make. They are theater students in Houston High School. And they spent all week building this haunted house. And so we went back there. It had live actors. It was decorated from beginning to end. It was bloody, it was gory, it had music, it had flashing lights, it had smoke, and it was a great adventure. It was the highlight of our Halloween. I guess the lesson for this would be simple. You stay inside your box, you stay inside your neighborhood, you may miss something amazing outside. We did go back and trick or treat with our neighbors, we had a great time. But by thinking outside the box, taking that chance, we found the greatest haunted house I've ever been to.
What brought you here to Toastmaster?
Mom, outside me.
An onion? An onion? An onion? Say it.
Yeah, I'm here.
You need the question again? Okay, yeah.
What brought you here to Toastmasters?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? It was kind of like facing out.
What brought you here to Toastmasters?
Oh, all right. So obviously, this is my second time doing a Toastmasters club. I've done a Toastmasters program locally in my area, so this is obviously my first time doing it online. The main reason I wanted to do Toastmasters was, first of all, I was kind of forced by my parents. I didn't originally want to do it because I guess you could say, like more of a shy kid than I am today in 5th grade and everything. And it was 6th grade year that my parents decided, all right, we're going to put you in Toastmasters. But I did come to realize that, it was a really fun experience, and it also taught me a lot of valuable lessons that I could apply in life, career, school, and besides the public speaking point of view, and also just in general, anything else I do. So yeah, that's what brought me to Toastmasters. Thank you.
If I were living anywhere in the world, where and why? I would live just where I am now. I'm pretty happy where I am. The place is comfortable, and I have a good family, 3 great kids. I have pretty good job, pay me well, and I save for my retirement, so I don't work to death. And also, I have something that I really like, you guys. I can spend time every weekend to be with and just really talk and share the stories. So yeah, that's where I want to be. Thank you.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Toastmaster.
Bean chili?
What you stand up, anybody wanna, can answer the question? Apparently she has a problem getting your name.
Yeah, yes.
If I could eat any food, just one food for the rest of my life, I'd probably go with the good old peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Because it's a sandwich that could basically be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And it contains fruit, which is nutritious, I suppose. It has strawberry jelly. And I really like peanut butter, and I've never grown tired of it. It's always my go-to meal whenever I don't have something specific to eat. So, if I could only stick with one food for the rest of my life, I would eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Possibly better.
Summarize your favorite book. Toastmaster Michael Liu.
Now, unfortunately, it has been a while since I've read a book, mainly because I've got this thing right here and that thing right there. It is quite an unfortunate consequence of becoming a young adult is that we have become more addicted to our electronic devices. However, back in the good old days of 4th and 5th grade, when 8-hour point competitions were the rage of the school, I would say that my favorite book, or rather books, was the Harry Potter series. Now, of course, known by every children from 5 all the way up to 13, they are simply amazing because they portray a world that is so different from our own, and yet so relatable at the same time. The students are so real, but they're handling magic that seems impossible in our world of science. And I think that was the aspect that truly made it a fantasy that I could enjoy, but at the same time also relate to as a student. In addition, it is widely available, so I was able to pick it up at my local library and read it just for fun and really enjoy it. Thank you.
If you could be a wild animal, what would it be and why? Toastmaster. Toastmaster Rutherford.
So if I could be any animal, I would probably be some type of eagle. Why I'm saying this is because, like, I mean, I don't think they have too many predators, and like, if I ever get into any trouble, I can just easily get away.
What is your favorite movie, Toastmaster?
VeggieTales.
The question I believe is what's my favorite movie? So because of my phone and my computer, I've not been able to watch any movies for the past year, I think. Yeah, a year. Last time I watched a movie was, I think, Endgame at a movie theater. I don't know if that was a year or 2 years ago. But Endgame. I think Endgame is my favorite movie then because of the plot line. The plot line had a lot of ups and downs, and it was a roller coaster of emotions. Yeah, Endgame. Endgame is my favorite movie.
What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Favorite Halloween candy would probably be Sour Patch Kids. And so first of all, it's not only for Halloween, you can like get it everywhere. And I like a lot of sour and sweet things. And so Sour Patch Kids fit that since it's both sour and sweet and it's really chewy. And during Halloween, if you go to like Costco, you'll see like these big bags of candy, and they usually contain Sour Patch Kids, which is really convenient for me. So if I had to choose a Halloween candy, it would be Sour Patch Kids.
If you could go to any college, which would it be and why? Toastmaster.
Who? No, not who.
Wait.
Uno Guerrero.
Who?
Uno Guerrero.
You put it right there, you don't have.
Just down right here. Down right here.
If if I had to go to any college or because if I could go to any college I want, it would probably be Harvard because my mom would be happy and then so she wouldn't like scold me and stuff. And then I don't know, probably like because I went to an Ivy League school and then after I graduate, I could get like a good job and then like get a lot of money and then retire. and so you don't die at work. Yeah, yeah.
What are your hobbies? Toastmaster Horse Taylor.
I believe the question was, what is my hobby?
What are your hobbies?
What are?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Sure.
My most favorite hobby, I have several, is playing the bass guitar. I play bass guitar and I have been playing for a number of years. I am currently in a new startup band. We have not officially named ourselves, but I think we're going to go with the name Caliphate. I don't know why. It's one of the band members' puppy dog's name. But the music that we play a lot of Billy Joel. We play a lot of Eric Clapton. We play a lot of original songs. What excites me most about being a bass player and being in a new startup band with a bunch of old folk like myself, I can still move and dance, whereas my other band members, they can't move. So that makes me the star of the show. That means when we strike a chord, let me see, put my fingers here, and then I strum, and I start to sing lullabies. Everybody will cheer for me. Lullaby, 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 lullaby. Next time, I will play my bass guitar for you so that you can see that I can really play. So that's my hobby, playing music. Back to you.
Sorry.
We did not hear the final question.
So if you had $100, what would you spend it on? Toastmaster Tony Britnum.
Thank you for the question. Okay, wait a minute. I would spend it on books. I love to read. I think that everyone should have a library in their home. And I'm not just talking about a Bible and a dictionary. I'm saying a full-fledged library with a wet bar, a shower, a day bed, and wall-to-wall books on every subject. I love linguistics, so I would have a whole shelf just dedicated to the different languages and the origin of those languages, how they came about. How is it that we didn't end up speaking German instead of English? So I love the etymology. That's what I would do if I had $100. I would invest again in more books. And I know I have probably the largest African American library in the city. But it didn't start out that way. It started out with Asian African American literature. My bookstore was called AAA Literary Connection. So I just love reading because it takes me places that I normally couldn't go, like China maybe, right? But those are the places that I would love to venture. So since I can't travel the way I'd like to, I travel through books. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. Let's all give a wonderful hand to Deanna, our youngest Gavalier. Thanks for those very engaging questions. Now let me call on the timer for the timers report.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So, for our first speech or impromptu speech from Mr. Anson, we have 4 minutes and 40 seconds. He's good on time. Then Mr. Pendergrass, we had 6 minutes and 2 seconds. So just 2 seconds, a little bit over time, and then we got in straight into our table topic session, which was at our first speaker. So I didn't catch the name of a couple of these speakers. So our first speaker, we had 1 minute 14 seconds, followed by Mr. Tim Zhu with 1 minute 11 seconds. Mr. Jason Pendergrass up with 1 minute 26 seconds. Nunya with 48 seconds. Miss Anna Zhang with 44 seconds. And then I didn't catch the next speaker's name, but we have 42 seconds. And we had Michael Liu, came up with 1 minute 16 seconds. And we had Raghav with 24 seconds. And then I didn't catch this speaker's name, but it was 51 seconds. And another with 35 seconds, followed by, I believe it was Quinn with 36 seconds, and Mr. Horace Taylor with 1 minute 36 seconds, ending with Miss Tony Brittenham with 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you so much, Mr. Timer. Now let me call on the general evaluator, Anaya, the general evaluator. Take it away.
Greetings, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Evaluation is where learning and growing takes place. I will first introduce 2 evaluators for the prepared speeches. After that, I will give an evaluation on the meeting process and call out the good examples of preparation, organization, delivery, enthusiasm, observation, and performance of duties. I do not think I have the list of our evaluators in front of us, but could the evaluator of Speaker 1 please go ahead and start with their report?
Thank you so much, Adanya. So we had an impromptu speech by Anson, and although his speech was a little flimsy, I'm going to give a little bit of leeway because, of course, it was an impromptu, and as we know, it's very tough to do an impromptu, you know? So I start with the stress that you use hand gestures, 1 specifically, where you did 1. I forgot what the context was, but you did put up the hand number 1, which shows a little bit of interaction. You also spoke very slow and understandable, and there was a con to that as well, which we'll get into in a minute. But you were very understandable when you were talking. You also cracked jokes, which I always think is a great thing in icebreakers. It settles the mood and makes you more open, and that's a great thing to be, especially in an icebreaker where you're introducing yourself. You also, you noted you used an image to describe the movie that you were, with the help of Michael, of course. You did that. So now let's go to the weaknesses. So, like I said, you took a very long break sometimes. Sometimes you would sit here and then take like a good 10 to 20 seconds. And although breaks can be really powerful, and that's something that I've learned over the time, like trying to learn how to public speak. If you use so much time, then it starts to begin to, become a bit awkward. I also said that when you're thinking of what to say, which all speakers do, sometimes we get lost up in what we're saying, don't directly look up. It kind of makes it obvious that you don't know what you're saying. Instead, try to look forward as much as you can. So it makes you seem more definitive instead of looking up let me think of what to say. And I also said that you said a lot of so's, like so da da da, so da da da, so da da da. So I just did that, but don't
repeat it so much because then it becomes noteworthy and yeah. All right, but we can all give it up for Anson because it was a
Once again, I don't have the list in front of me still, so could speaker two's evaluator please stand up? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. General Evaluator. I'm the evaluator number 2, evaluating Jason's speech. But before I get into Jason's speech, I just really commend Anson for stepping up, giving an impromptu. That is really hard to do. But you did well. Yes. And like Peter stated, there are several things you did very well in there. And also, I want to remind everybody to read your email because Michael stressed who will be the next speaker several days ahead of time. And I personally emailed the icebreaker speaker. Hey, your icebreaker is coming up 1 week ahead of time. So at least somebody has 2 times reminder already. So please check your email. All right, check your email, know your role before coming into the meeting, be prepared. Now, coming to Jason's speech, Jason's objective is to use the body language and the vocal variety. And it's really hard to do for the topic you choose. You're talking about the retirement. It's all about numbers. It's not really a fun topic to talk about. And it's probably hard to use the jokes or body language. But I have to say, you did very well, bring our interest. First, you started with a question. Do you want to still working with you the last day of your life? Nobody wants. That's a good question to ask and a good way to make us interested in what you want to say next. And then you brought out your personal story. Your dad's co-workers, and your co-workers. So your personal story really gave a lot of richness into your topic. And you had a lot of numbers. I remember that 10% of the paycheck that would guarantee you, that's the poverty line.
And retirement.
And I still have a question about that. So I will talk to you about that later. But I think it would be more compelling to have some visual. For example, you can show it in a spreadsheet. If you save 10% in 30 years or 50 years, how much it's going to be? Or you save 15%, how much money that's going to be in 50 years? And that would give us a better idea. If we save 5% more, we could be in much better shape, right? The last you talked about the pitfalls, and I think that's a good way to end the speech because it reminds us some of the things we normally fall into not saying enough. So that's a final reminder. In terms of the body language, I have a hard time to think about what you can do better for a topic like this. But I still think you could use your personal story to expand on your personal story. Expand what your father did in his retirement, what kind of life he had after retire because of the state. So that's one suggestion. That's probably the only suggestion I have for you. But overall, as a great topic, I think it's beneficial for everybody here. So thank you very much for that topic.
All right, so I think it's also. Oh, sorry. Is it? All right. I think that overall, as like the general evaluator, the meeting went pretty smoothly. Of course, I wasn't here for the orientation, so I apologize for that. And I think I also want to give it like a hand to our speakers again, because I really liked, and especially like the impromptus, and then Mr. Jason's speech specifically on vocal variety and body language. They did a really good job. So, and as for table topics, it was a pretty like lengthy session of table topics, but I did enjoy the questions a lot. And I think overall, everyone's speeches, or not speeches, replies were mostly, you know, held together, not as like flimsy. And they went smoothly, you know, they made sense, and their answers, a lot of them I agreed with. As for like, and then after table topics, we had the timer, that also went smoothly. And I think for the most part, everyone was on time, occasionally, you know, the 2 seconds. But besides that, I think that overall the meeting went pretty good. Thank you.
And can we get the grammarians report?
So for the speeches, mine is, yeah. It needs improvement. Jason, I only caught 1/2 of it. And you have the word of the day. Mia, excellent. Mia, good. Sherlina, you had 2 and you can like
Check your voice quick.
well, okay. Joshua, you had 3 and 2 so's. Yeah. Michael, you were excellent. Raghav, I only caught 1 Anna had 2 and me and Jimmy, you had 2 and 1 so. Quinn is Quinn. But yeah, Horace and Tony were excellent, and Peter had the word of the day.
Yeah.
To be exact, I had 9. And I'll pass it back to the Toastmaster.
Okay, a final timers report, and then I'll call up on the president to get the roles for next week. So the final report on the evaluations, Mr. Timer.
Okay, thank you. So first up, we have Mr. Peter evaluating our first and impromptu speech was Mr. Anson. We have 2 minutes and 21 seconds. And then we have Miss Anna Jane evaluating Mr. Jason Pendergrass. And she put up just under the 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
And now back to you, Mr. President, as you wrap up the meeting and make sure we have roles for next week.